People who lived in the place we now call home in New Mexico have always dealt with difficult conditions like drought and monsoon rains, but climate change is shaping a different kind of future for our children. Scientists have identified several scenarios for how the environment might change, but there are signs today that the world around us is changing. Journalist Laura Paskus reports on the environment, and she's been looking recently at how the Rio Grande might look to future generations. She sat down this week with our producer, Sarah Gustavus.
Laura, we're so glad to have you back again this week. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Sarah.
Let's start with the importance of the Rio Grande River. Why does it matter for the local ecosystem?
Well, it's a really important system. You know, it's the state's largest river, and it's the 5th longest river in the United States, and we get a lot of our drinking water from it. But it also supports so many different species, whether it's fish and mammals and the wildlife that depend on the bosque, birds, but it also sustains our cottonwood forests, it sustains our farmers in the valley. It's a huge part of who we are as a city. I think, you know, the pueblos along the Rio Grande and the city of Albuquerque, there wouldn't really be much reason for any of us to be living right here if there weren't a big river.
I know the river's personally important to you. You spend a lot of time out there, including with your family. And what do you think it means for other families and for the culture of our city right now?
I think that it means something very different to the Pueblo people than it does to, you know, maybe some of us who live here in Albuquerque. For American Indian communities in the state, and especially along the river, it's an integral part of their ceremonies and daily life and things that are just culturally and traditionally very important to them as who they are. It's important to the Spanish communities and Hispanic communities who've relied on its water for acequias and also for some ceremonies for centuries. And for somebody like me who's only lived in Albuquerque for 20 years, or other newcomers, it's I feel like it's this way to feel not so very alone in the middle of a desert. It's a place, especially here in Albuquerque, it's an amazing place to go in the bosque and to not be able to see the city or hear the city. And if you're lucky enough to do a canoe or kayak trip through, especially if you put in around Bernalillo or upstream of Bernalillo and come through, you know, a very busy section of Bernalillo and the city of Albuquerque with Rio Rancho there. And there are long stretches where you can't hear or see the city. And I think for who we are as humans, I think we need those quiet places.
And you've been covering climate change. You've covered the environment for many years. You're specifically looking at climate change right now. What are you seeing right now in your research on the Rio Grande, both in where we've been and where we might be headed for that important place?
So the drought that sort of we're not quite in anymore, you know, people talk, there are different ways of defining drought, and drought really hit this region either in the late 90s or the early 2000s. But you can see, if you look at the flows of the Rio Grande during that time period, we saw really long stretches of the river going dry south of Albuquerque. And they probably would have gone dry through Albuquerque as well, but there's certain laws, regulations in place that prevent that from happening. But these really long stretches, you know, 30, 50, 60, 70 miles. And so as the region warms, we're going to see more of a stress placed on the river because there's all the same demands from cities and farmers. And then as the region warms, there's also additional demands. The bosque uses more water, farmers need more water. So there's just this increasing demand placed on our water supplies. At the same time, we see from warming, we see our snowpack changing, melting earlier, and in some cases being less than what we are accustomed to, less than what we've built all of our systems around, relying on increased evaporation from reservoirs. And so as the region continues to warm, we're going to see more and more of that and less water.
Well, and how do we parse out, though, the impact of the environment versus people just using more, and there maybe being more people trying to do more with the water, the river in previous years?
Right. I think that Albuquerque has done a really good job of conserving water. We've seen water use by residents go down, and that's been a big push by the Water Utility Authority to help people do that. So I think that in terms of our municipal use, there are so many things that we can do to decrease that use. I think farming is still a really problematic thing and something that's really hard for us to talk about because it is a part of our culture. It's a part of, who we are in New Mexico, is to grow things like alfalfa that require flood irrigation. And so in thinking about the Rio Grande, I can't remember what the number is, but it's more than 80% of the water is used for irrigation. It might be close to 90%. So it's a huge chunk of the water, and that is going to increase even though we see fewer farmers making a living in the valley. That water use will continue to increase as they need more water for their crops.
And what research are you turning to in your reporting to look at what might happen in the future in the impact of climate change in New Mexico and specifically on the river?
There have been a lot of recent studies that have come out that are looking at climate change and how that warming will affect western river systems. And in particular, there have been a couple recently that are looking at snowpack and how declining snowpack and more quickly melting snowpack will affect river systems like the Rio Grande, the Colorado River, because our rivers in New Mexico and in the West that we rely on for drinking water and farming are really dependent on snowpack. And so as the region warms and we see less snowpack and snowpack melting earlier, which is a really big deal, I think we're going to have to start thinking a lot more carefully about how we use our water and how we think about water and how we think about our rivers in the West.
And give us some national context to leave the conversation here today. What's happening in other areas? How does what's going on here compare to other states?
I think sometimes, when you listen to the national news, I feel like the interior West in particular, we're kind of left out of a lot of things. We saw what was happening with the drought in California and what a big deal that was. And then in the eastern part of the country, a lot of the focus when it comes to rivers, like in Flint, Michigan, and other places east of us, the emphasis is really on water quality. And here in the interior West, we have really big things to think about in terms of water quantity. But with that decreased water quantity, that also affects the water quality. So we kind of have both issues to be concerned about moving forward.
Laura, thanks for coming in this week, and we'll put a link to your reporting on our website.
Thanks, Sarah.